Hotep, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jahi, and I'm with the Liberation Center SA. We really need to talk, and we really need to talk right now. There is something going on today that the media hasn't brought much attention to. There is a tragedy in the African American community that even we don't want to discuss. Many of us have seen it, but we have quickly looked away from it. And some of us have no clue as to what is really going on in African American circles that is devastating us right now. What is it? It's our young African American men and women who are committing suicide. And we should have been had this discussion by now. Suicide is taking one's own life. It's killing yourself. But why haven't we talked about this heinous atrocity more in our circles since it affects us African Americans, descendants of slaves, greatly? Why do our young people want to leave this world? Is it internal pain, suffering, misery, and not wanting to deal with life anymore? Suicide is the third leading cause of death for black males between the ages of 15 to 24. And young African American rape victims are 13 times more likely to commit suicide because the damage is so deep. It's so disturbing and relentless. See, you never know what a person is going through. So what is going on in our families? Suicide is an issue that we don't like to talk about. See, we'd rather sit around and talk about entertainers, sports athletes, politicians, or religion. But why is this? Is it because we don't want to face the terrible fact that our youth are taking their own lives, for they are dying? Or have we lied to ourselves and convinced ourselves that only other races commit suicide but not us? Or are many of us just plain old cowards and want to run from this tragedy? Why is this not a major issue on many of our agendas in the African American community? It's mind-boggling. We have facts, data, statistics, particulars, and details, but we still don't want to own up to what is going on today in many of our youth's lives. Too many of us have become callous, cold-hearted, unloving, unsympathetic, unfriendly, unkind, and insensitive to our own people. The truth hurts. But what are we going to do with this internal genocide? Ignore it? Sweep it under the carpet? Or sidestep it? And why do we think that suicide is rare for African Americans when the data shows us otherwise? Are we moronic, simpletons, or just foolish people? Which one? According to the Centers for Disease Control, white children's suicide rate has declined over the last 4 years, while African American children's suicide rate has risen. Why are we losing our babies to suicide? It's because of stress. That's pressure and tension. That's a mental and emotional strain on their souls. Many of our youth are under heavy anxiety, meaning that there's a feeling of nervousness. It's relentless worry and agitation of the mind and the heart. Some of our youth are dealing with traumatic experiences that hasn't been dealt with. These are emotionally disturbing experiences that will not leave their minds alone. Some of our children have just given up on life because they can't cope with life. And for us, stop putting yourself in this saying, I would never do such a thing. Well, good for you. Because this is not about you. It's not about me. It's about helping them where they are. Because they are struggling. And one of the main issues and reasons that they're struggling is they are struggling with depression. These are feelings of despondency, low spirits, and a loss of hope. I'm telling you that many of our young people are depressed. It is reported that 2/3 of those who die by suicide, they had depression. Did you hear me? I said that they are being depressed. Ladies and gentlemen, the rate of our young black youth who are committing suicide, their rate has never been higher. Suicide rates for black boys from the ages of 5 to 11 have doubled in the last 2 decades. I said the suicide rate for black boys from the ages of 5 to 11 have doubled in the last 2 decades. The Final Call newspaper reported a 14-year-old African-American young girl's statement before she committed suicide. And this is what she said. I am just tired. My life is pointless. I don't want to do this anymore, before she broadcasted her death live on Facebook. See, she had been sexually abused. She also had been in and out of foster care. A 10-year-old African-American girl of Aurora, Colorado, hung herself in her bedroom closet last November 29th, 2 weeks after a fight went viral on social media that she was involved in. An 8-year-old boy, young African-American boy, committed suicide after being bullied at school, which the school didn't even inform his parents of the bullying. The black family is being destroyed and really getting worse, an African-American doctor told the Final Call newspaper. How do we deal with this hush-mouth topic in the African-American body? We must talk about it, y'all. Get it out, and maybe we can save someone because they see that we care. And by the way, young black girls from the ages of 11 to 14, their suicide rate has tripled, according to the National Center for Health. The warning signs of someone who may be suicidal. Talking about wanting to die or killing themselves all the time. Please take this seriously and intervene. A person who is constantly talking about having no purpose and seems to be very aloof. If a person has had a history or trauma or abuse, then this is a serious concern. Or a failed previous suicide attempt and the person seemed troubled greatly. If you are suicidal, please don't wait, get help. This isn't anything to put aside or play with. Realize that you are precious and valuable to us. No matter what you are going through, know that you are loved by many of us and you're dear to us all. Your life is very meaningful to us and we need you. See, oftentimes people just want to know that someone cares because they have never been told or shown love. If you are suicidal, it's okay to ask someone to go to a suicide crisis prevention with you. It's okay because that person cares about you. And to the person that goes with the suicidal individual, you need to put everything on the back burner for them because this means a lot and possibly could save a life. And it shows that you are greatly, greatly concerned. What not to do if a person is suicidal. Never, never, never give them advice based upon your own life experiences. I can't say this enough. This isn't about you and your situation because all people are different. And please, don't ever try to play advisor or counselor because you and I don't have what it takes to rescue people from the long haul. This mass suicide in the African American community is an indication that too much is happening to our young people. There are some things that are contributing to our young ones that they are committing suicide in record numbers. And a lot of this is going on, yes, you guessed it, right at home at a very early age. And many of our young people are being verbally abused right at home, being cursed out, hearing vulgar language hurled at them all the time, people shouting at them to the top of their lungs. Some of us adults have lost our minds the way we talk to these young people, using words that settle deep in their hearts, words that affect them, words that crush them throughout life. We also mentally abuse them, playing games with their minds. And what about this one? Physically abusing them, beating them like they are animals. We need to stop this nonsense because this contributes to some of the suicides that we read and hear about. What about emotionally abusing them, letting them see things at their young age that they shouldn't be witnessing? Many children shouldn't be seeing and hearing some of the crap that they see and hear in our own homes. neglect, not caring for them, as well as telling these young children all of your problems. They can't fathom that mess. They can't handle that. They shouldn't be hearing that. You ought to be ashamed of yourself to involve your young ones in your adult issues. Children can't understand our issues the way we do, so stop this. Sexual abuse. Exposing a child to inappropriate sexual behavior. That also means letting people that you say you love into their lives. This can contribute to a person committing suicide, and shame on you if you expose these young ones to this abomination, all because you are too blind and too weak to care for them. Protect your children. Guard your children. Love your children. Suicide within the African American youth today is at an all-time high. Please be mindful of anyone who may be in this dilemma, and for those who want help, please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline number, which is 1-800-273-8255. Again, the number is 1-800-273-8255. We as a people who live in the United States of America, us African Americans, descendants of slaves, some 46 million or so, we have a whole host of problems, but our youth are struggling big time, even as I speak right now. They're struggling with life and whether to stay here or to leave. I've listed a few reasons as to why our youth are killing themselves, committing suicide. Here are a few more. Racism, prejudice, low self-esteem, poverty, absenteeism of a parent who was incarcerated, mental disorders, drug and alcohol abuse, divorce, emotional neglect, as well as many, many more. How can we be a people of concern? How can we say we have compassion when all this is going on right under our noses? But most of us, we look the other way. We turn a blind eye and a deaf ear to how our young ones are being treated. My name is Jahi, and I hope that you learned something today that will help you be more sincere about helping our youth because they're dying. Hotep.